type a yes or a something or a thumbs up or shoot a very cool emoji my way, just so I know that you can see me and hear me. I think everything is cool. It's always like, YouTube is nuts. And yet, how awesome is this? I absolutely love that we have the opportunity to be able to connect virtually from wherever it is you are scattered about the world, and be able to connect and focus on you, focus on your self-healing journey, focus on what may be your next step on within your healing process. So just in case we have not met, my name is Stephen Pollitt, and I am the creator of Source Energy Medicine, and an official welcome to SEM Mondays. This is my live weekly show here on YouTube. It used to be a very, very brief Q&A, and thanks to the pandemic, or really not thanks to the pandemic, but yes, thanks to the pandemic, because I'm enjoying the expanded format, but to be able to support you during this health crisis, which, if you listen to any of the experts, this is going to be the new normal. There's going to be another pandemic. There are variations of COVID. I honestly, to me, the vaccine isn't the answer, right? It's certainly a temporary answer, I think, for a lot of people, but it's certainly not the answer. Not the answer to being able to go back to the way things were pre-COVID, but that's a story for another question. Thank you for the awesome emojis, Marty and Fifth Wheel saying hi, joining us from Victoria, BC, and Judith saying hello from a hot California, and blessings. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. At least I know I'm not just standing here talking to the camera. So there were a couple of questions that came in about our online workshops, and I just want to clarify everything because I thought there was a video in our Quick Start Guide where I talk about all of the workshops that we offer. And the video that I thought it was isn't the video that I was looking for. So there is a video where I talk about the difference between the Quick Start Guide, which is a free course in Source Energy Medicine, and our online workshops. So I want to take a few moments and just explain all of that to everyone, because I know it's confusing, or can be confusing, I guess. But, the Quick Start Guide is where everyone starts, right? Whether you're an integrative wellness practitioner or just someone who really wants to explore self-healing in a safe and effective way. So everybody starts with the Quick Start Guide. And then those who are really interested in exploring mastery level practical skills, really being able to take Source Energy Medicine charging labels and maximize that, working, both on your own goals and challenges in terms of physical, what would be characterized as mental or emotional or even spiritual, financial, career, relationships, right? It is all applicable. But then we can also take that technology and apply it to larger bodies of water, or to land, or to help animals, or to harmonize the energy in and around a house, right? Large pieces of property, things like that. So we have what we now call the Source Energy Medicine Mastery Club. And within the Mastery Club, there are two workshops. They're the Source Energy Medicine Fundamentals workshops. All of our workshops are online these days, so you get to stay home, stay put, no travel expenses, and of course, there's no risk of exposure to, Lord knows what, because you're staying in the comfort and safety of your own home or office. And all of our online workshops these days are set up in a membership model. So we have 3 membership options, and they are a monthly, an annual, and a lifetime membership. And that's true for the Source Energy Medicine Mastery Club. And beyond the Source Energy Medicine Mastery Club, and also there too, I really want to point out that all of our workshops are sequential. So everyone starts with the quick start guide, and then the next most logical step is the Source Energy Medicine Mastery Club and the fundamentals workshops, right? 2 levels of that, 2 parts of that. Those who are interested in exploring the energy healing modality that is within Source Energy Medicine, it's known as the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine, those folks would go on to the non-material Source Energy Medicine workshops. And I hope that makes sense, right? Not charging label stuff, but the reason why it's called non-material is because there's no material substance, right? No labels, no bottles, no water. It is the same technology and yet no charging labels. And there are 2 parts to the non-material workshops also. Part 1 is the next most logical step after the fundamentals. And then only those who are practitioners, right, or want to become practitioners go on to the non-material Source Energy Medicine Part 2. And I hope that makes sense. And of course, for both of those workshops, there is a monthly and annual and a lifetime membership option. And then there's even one step further, which is an ongoing non-material Source Energy Medicine alumni club, and some really, really cool things there. But that's it. That's what we really have. 4 online workshops in all. Sequential. Start with the quick start guide. The next most logical step is the fundamentals, which we're now including in the Source Energy Medicine Mastery Club. Beyond that are the 2 non-material Source Energy Medicine workshops. So we do have 2 standalone master classes because they don't really fit into any of those. And they do indeed stand alone in that the first one is the one on emergency preparedness. Came about from so many folks in our community who are asking questions about COVID, right? What can be done prophylactically, proactively to help to ensure health and well-being during all of this. But it really covers everything that would be considered an acute condition, right? Things that would create just nasty, uncomfortable stuff, right? Some migraine headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, difficulty sleeping, often attributed to acute conditions, right? So think about colds, flus, stuff like that. And it is a standalone workshop. And gosh, from my perspective, if I'm not going to explore the non-material Source Energy Medicine workshops, then that emergency preparedness class to me is it's essential, right? It's essential because without it, life for me would be much less filled with peace. Right now, I have a tremendous amount of comfort and peace knowing, sure, I haven't been sick since 2005, and yet it's not a guarantee. I can't predict my future. And I'm not playing this game alone, right? We have billions of people who are collectively co-creating that to a certain degree influences my experience, right? So I love knowing that no matter what happens, I'm prepared. And on one hand, it's fascinating to me that I haven't been sick since 2005 because before that I was sick all the time. And not only did I get sick all the time, but it seemed like my symptoms were exaggerated, right? It's like the volume was turned up on everything. So the kind of cool thing to think about is, while I haven't gotten sick since 2005, I've almost gotten sick like probably a dozen or so times a year. And if you think about it, when I was doing live workshops, I was away from home more than I was home, and I would be gone for 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks was more common at a time, around a lot of people, a lot of flights, a lot of, staying in hotels, and a lot of airports, a lot of rental cars, eating in restaurants, and, very, very, very different experience than what I have now. And through all of that, which is miraculous, like years I did that. It's miraculous that so think about it, being away from home for 3 weeks, much higher level of stress. I would leave my hotel room at 7 in the morning on average, maybe 8 in the morning, and I would get back to my hotel room at like 10 o'clock at night. And it was all work for the most part, or travel, from one city to another. So, really long work days, much more intense schedule than what I'm used to, which, between the stress of being away and the stress of the extra hours and just being on all of the time, which is, my nature is that of introversion, which is probably hard for you to believe, watching me here, and yet it's true, right? When I'm not here talking on camera, I'm really, really grand with a really good book and, being alone. It's not that I'm antisocial. I love people. I really greatly value friendship and good relationships and so forth. But, doing live events was such a stretch for me, just personality wise. And, it's crazy. All of those years, all of those weeks, all of those nights away from home and traveling countless airplane hours on an airplane. And, I managed to stay well through it all. And a lot of what I teach in the emergency preparedness class is how I managed to, I think for me, one of my saving graces is my body's very, very sensitive. And I have like zero threshold for feeling poorly, right? Feeling lousy. So as soon as I start to feel poorly, as soon as I start to have anything, right? I'm very active, right? I'm actively engaged, and I know what to do step by step by step by step. And by following these step by step guidelines, I've been able to know I got it, right? I'm done. And then the progression of whatever it was that was starting just halts right in its tracks. So, if you have not registered for the emergency preparedness class, even if you don't go anywhere beyond our quick start guide, right? You don't ever take any of our online workshops. I strongly encourage you to check out that master class. I've left registration open. You can join anytime. You go at your own pace. I'm still active in there answering questions, and it's amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And we have a new Source Energy Medicine mobile app that is now, really, we started the designing before the master class on emergency preparedness, but we expanded the mobile app so that all of the charging labels that are in all of the protocols, the handouts that are in that master class are excellent. But all those charging labels are now in the Source Energy Medicine mobile app, so you can even use your mobile phone to make Source Energy Medicines when you're out and about and away from home. It's not ideal for, day-to-day use, although I'm sure there are some people who are using it for day-to-day use, but that is absolutely their choice. I don't think it's ideal for day-to-day use. So there's a lot to go into there, and I'll reserve that conversation for another day, but there is, I think pretty much for quite some time now, there's a link to register for the masterclass, and in fact, there's actually a link to a video where I do a walkthrough of the masterclass, so you get to see what you're getting yourself into before you register. And the other masterclass we just completed, and it's a masterclass that is all around what for me is really deep and profound, very meaningful healing on a soul level. And so it covers two levels, really, this master class, and it's the soul body and the emotional body. And one of the exciting things for me is this is work that I've wanted to explore, and we do explore to a certain degree, but it's very, very limited. And now it's like, wide open to exploration, to transformation, to balancing and restoring. And that, I believe, is the result of enough people exploring source energy medicine and doing other things to help to positively shift global human consciousness that we're now able to heal on a soul level the way we haven't been able to before. And I firmly believe that a big part of that is because the non-physical beings that oversee us as a species realize that we're on a trajectory for self-destruction and literally destroying the planet, which will probably happen before we destroy each other. And I think a lot of the, this human experience, right, is the realm of cause and effect. And there has been so much thoughtless, careless, loveless very material-based causes, right? Choices that have been made that we're experiencing really devastating effects. I mean, just look at our environment, look at global economies. The pandemic is the result of choices that we have made over the last 150 years, and many of them have been really horrible choices. And we're paying the price. And the benevolent beings that oversee us realize without being able to heal on a soul level, we're definitely, it's just a matter of time, right? So I hope all of that makes sense. And the last thing I want to talk about is the reason why I have the quick start guide available, and I think it's a fantastic introductory course to source energy medicine. But within that, it includes some of our most valuable assets, right? Our charging label file, electronic copy of my book, Heal Thyself, like really everything that's essential to your journey with source energy medicine. The reason why it's free, my big why, is because if it wasn't free, there would be likely 2 billion, probably significantly more these days, people on this planet who would not be able to, even if it were $10, right, which would be ridiculous because it's worth tens of thousands of dollars, but let's just say it were $10, 10 US dollars, well over 2 billion people would not be able to access it. And gosh, I hope you have a similar place in your heart, but there's nothing about that seems fair to me or just to me. So, that indeed is free. And all of our online workshops, there is a financial investment, right? You're signing up, you're registering, you're paying membership fee, whether it's a monthly, an annual, or a lifetime membership fee for any of the workshops that you want to do. The master classes, actually, I should clarify, the master classes is just a single registration. You have lifetime access, right? It doesn't fit that model of monthly, annual, or lifetime memberships. But my commitment to having everyone have access to everything that Source Energy Medicine offers goes way beyond the Quick Start Guide and our charging labels, right? I mean, that is the treasure right there. And I should say that the bigger treasure is actually the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine. But what I am committed to is everyone who is interested in exploring any of our workshops, they're able to, whether they have the financial resources to be able to afford even the most affordable membership option or not. We do have a Source Energy Medicine Scholarship Fund available. Now, because of COVID, our scholarship fund has been pretty much at zero for quite a while. We did a fundraising campaign not long ago, and it was quickly depleted. And yet, my commitment is firm. So if you are at a point where you want to start exploring our workshops, or you've been exploring our workshops and you want to take the next step, but it's cost prohibitive to you at the moment, just talk to me and we'll figure out what we can do to help to make it affordable for you. We are likely going to start doing another fundraising campaign. I hope by now we're transitioning to a 501c3, a nonprofit organization. And it really is because of the generosity of our community that everyone is able to participate in all of the workshops that they would like to. And, it really is because of your kindness, your generosity, contributing dollars to Source Energy Medicine to enable another to be able to do what otherwise they wouldn't be able to do, I think is such a beautiful, pure intention, right? It's really one of these selfless acts, which, it's interesting because A Course in Miracles teaches us that we become very selfish out of self-interest, right? It's our generosity is very selfish because if you really think about it, we are indeed all one. And whether you look at it from a perspective of physics or metaphysics, right? And I don't think there's really a difference these days because most leading edge physicists are talking about what you would only talk about in metaphysical groups. But, from a perspective of most physicists, on a molecular level, there's no question we're made up of the same energy that's everything on our planet. So, and then on a soul level, that takes the next step. And I know it's hard because we have an ego and we have a central nervous system that individualizes my experience, and we have a society that's based on separation and greed and non-cooperation. So it makes it really, really difficult to realize that we are all one. But of course, in Miracles teaches us if I have a resource and I know someone needs it and I withhold it, I'm actually withholding from me. And that will, and very much like a boomerang effect, come back and be my experience. And it's going to be a different scenario, right? It's not I want to do a work. Whatever it is that you're withholding will be withheld from you, maybe not in the exact same situation or scenario, but in a very strong and meaningful way, because that's what you are putting out there to the universe. So your generosity in supporting our scholarship fund, we have a page on our main website, source-energy-medicine.com, where you can make a financial contribution to our scholarship funds. And that absolutely helps to ensure that, the next person who wants to explore source energy medicine who's going through a financially tough time, they can, right? Without hopefully feeling any kind of shame or embarrassment or anything like that, right? My commitment to the scholarship is to just make it really easy for everyone, right? So, if you continue to tune in on SEM Mondays, you will absolutely hear me asking for contributions moving forward as we continue to move towards becoming a nonprofit organization. So it's the way I think. When I think it's interesting because in 2005 when I started sharing Source Energy Medicine, I wanted to use, like in our messaging, if you will, Source Energy Medicine is a self-healing methodology for the people. And the Valerie, the amazing woman who I'm married with, and a lot of close people who I bounce things off of, like they're my soundboards, they said it sounds too radical. It sounds too like 1960s. And I was like, yeah, that's what this is. This is a peaceful self-healing revolution. And I heard them, and I thought, well, all right, we'll try without that. And my God, if ever in our human evolution has there been a time for a peaceful revolution, it's now. And I think of some of the nonviolent peaceful revolutions that we have had in the 60s. This is basic human right. I believe that the source of all creation created us to be able to be self-healing, self-balancing, and self-correcting, and yet no one I know outside of Source Energy Medicine has that ability. If I could, I wouldn't be doing this, right? I'd be doing something else. So, it's basic human right, and yet it's denied to most of us. So to have the technology to be able to create that kind of freedom for everyone and have it be 100% accessible to everyone around the world, sure, you need some technology, but there are public libraries pretty much everywhere. I mean, I know there are places on this planet where accessing technology is difficult, and yet you still can, right? Might take a little bit more work than if you live in a first world country and you have public libraries and stuff like that, right? Universities, schools, community centers, there's so many ways, right? Business centers, hotels have computers and printers, and there's lots and lots and lots of ways. So I do indeed. I don't think we're going to start using it in our messaging, but I think about that all the time. And, I think that, yes, it is absolutely time for a peaceful revolution, a revolution that is based on unconditionally loving each other, unconditional kindness and tolerance and compassion, especially with those who disagree with or have a different point of view, right? If you had a conversation, they would disagree with your values, your morals, your politics, your lifestyle, right? So I think that those are the areas where we're having the greatest difficulty as humans, and is creating a lot of the problems. So I think having a little bit of compassion a lot of compassion, really, and just unconditionally loving each other, recognizing that that is me. They forget that they're divine and they're acting out from a wounded place, right? And, when people act from wounded places, people get hurt. And that's why we're able to do this work on a soul level that we haven't been able to before. Because if we didn't, we're definitely on a like a one-way dead-end street towards self-destruction. So, and as a way to continue to support you during all of this seemingly madness, right? Very uncertain time, whether you're looking at the economies of the world or the weather of the world or just the social injustice and the boiling point that everything seems to be at, or, the healthcare system. I think the group energy healing sessions on SEM Mondays certainly doesn't replace the healthcare system, and yet there are a lot of people in our community who have used that resource as part of their daily wellness program, right? Part of their I think it's a nice accompaniment to your daily spiritual practice, right? So your meditation, to eating well, to exercising, to practicing forgiveness, to practicing gratitude. And, I think if enough people did that, then our healthcare system would not be so overtaxed, and the healthcare costs would be a fraction of what they are, because most people would be actually well. And, the healthcare system is not healthcare, right? It's dis-ease care. And, so I offer this on Mondays as a bit of a respite from all of that, as another option. And, if you are having a serious medical emergency, absolutely dial 911. Don't ever hesitate to call for medical emergency. The folks who work in emergency rooms around the world are absolutely, from my perspective, among our greatest heroes. And, educators, police officers, firefighters, those are the folks that should be on, in trading cards and stuff like that, and paid the most, right, for their service. So let's segue into the group energy healing session, if you will. I know an awful lot of folks show up here every Monday specifically for this, right? I love that the Quick Start Guide is so thorough that there aren't a lot of questions if you watch the videos, right? And you're paying attention, you're not multitasking, you're solo tasking. And yet, I created this weekly show in part to answer your questions, but also in part to create a free and open and all-inclusive community forum, right? A way to be able to connect each week with, I think connecting with like-minded individuals in some instances. Like if I'm working on self-healing, sometimes it's better not to share what I'm doing with a whole lot of people, especially if they're not going to have listening for it. And then, of course, if there is listening, if there's an opening, then I think it's my obligation to share what I know, what I have learned, what I've experienced. And yet, I have a lot of friends that they have no idea what I do professionally because of that, right? There just isn't listening. They've never asked. My number one rule is not to just inflict source energy medicine everywhere that I go, right? But really just have this gift to offer everywhere that I go, and just wait for an appropriate opening to share that gift. So a couple of things that I think are really important for you to know about the non-material aspect of source energy medicine and this energy healing that we are about to experience or be invited to experience. There's a really good video on our YouTube channel, at least I think it's an okay video, but it's informative, and it explains source energy medicine about as well as I can explain. Actually, it explains the non-material aspect, the energy healing aspect of source energy medicine. And it's funny how critical I've become of a lot of our videos, right? I would love it to be better than what it is, and yet it's helpful, it's informative. I think it gets the job done. And It's there on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Just put it in the search bar, Source Energy Medicine, non-material aspect or energy healing, and it'll show up. It's in the quick start guide, and there's a special playlist on our YouTube channel that's great for beginners, right? It is all the essential videos. It's in there as well. And if you ever have any trouble finding it, just let us know. You can leave comments, questions in the link below the player for this. And absolutely, if you have not subscribed to this channel, it's the best way for me to be able to support you moving forward. And if you click that really cool bell icon, I think it's a cool bell icon. It's not very intuitive what it is, but if you click that bell icon, YouTube will let you know when I'm live or when I upload a new video to our channel. So there's definitely pretty good benefit, not pretty good, there's really unlimited potential and possibility to revisiting the energy healing sessions. And it could be from any of the SEM Mondays. We've been doing it for more than a year now. And you could just, fast forward to the point where I do the energy healing part and experience that. And experience that once or twice a day, I think is really, really, really smart. It definitely will help to support you in staying well. While I can't do everything that I do in a session when I work one-on-one with a client, in a group session, I can, however, do the parts that are most critically important to your physical health and well-being. And that's my intention for today. On your end, I always invite you to just choose one goal or one challenge and focus on that so that it's easiest to track. Minimum of distractions on your end. Just get as comfortable as you possibly can. A lot of folks like to lie down and close their eyes, and if that feels safe and it's comfortable and it's appropriate for you to do that, try that on. And if not, like if you're not in a place where you can get comfortable or you don't feel safe doing any of those things, just please don't. Take good care of yourself. And, think about it. This is you healing yourself, right? If you don't have 5 or 10 minutes a day to devote to your self-healing, you should probably be spending a couple of hours doing that, right? Because that means that you're so busy, so distracted, pulled in so many different directions, higher level of stress. And, there's I don't think there's a physician on this planet who would not agree with, the probably the number one contributing factor to dis-ease is stress, right? There's no arguing that. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who's going to argue that, but it would be kind of silly to argue with so much agreement on something, so fundamentally applicable to everyone, right? You cannot avoid stress. I don't care how much of a sanctuary you have or how much land you live on or how wealthy you are experiencing higher levels of stress than humans have ever experienced before in our history. And think about what the long-term negative effect of that is. And we don't really know. We don't know what the long-term negative effect of living through a pandemic is, of being much more isolated socially than we're used to. And we're social beings, we're social creatures, and I don't care how introverted you are, intimate connection, whether it's one-on-one or in groups where you feel comfortable, it's essential, right? It's essential to our being human. And the hermetic lifestyle is very, very, very appealing to me, and yet I do greatly, greatly, greatly value deep, meaningful one-on-one connection or small group kind of things. So, and I was talking about like-minded individuals in this community in SEM Mondays, and I think it's awesome. But I really think you should go into communities where you're not like-minded, right? Just to be able to help to understand their perspective. I do that more and more, and I learned that from the life of Pat Tillman, the phenomenally gifted collegiate and professional football player who joined the Marines and went off to fight in Iraq and sacrificed his life for our freedom. And the story is that when Pat was flying to Iraq, he had a copy of the Taliban because he wanted to understand their side, their perspective. Like, why are they an enemy? And there was so much misinformation, but that's the way Pat's parents raised him, and they would have these Chautauqua-like experiences on the front lawn of their home growing up. And they learned the art of debate at a very young age. And Pat was highly intelligent, and his parents, all of Pat's friends, they just loved going to his house because his parents would challenge them, challenge them to come up with a stand and defend that stand, and then also completely understand, be sympathetic to the other side. And I think if more and more and more of us did that, I think we would have much less division, if any division, within this country, whether we're talking about economic division or social division or political division, right? We'd be able to have many more peaceful conversations and still differ in opinion. So let's get to the healing part of this show, if you will. I turn my camera off. There'll be some chanting. If YouTube cooperates, there will be some chanting in the background. They sometimes allow it, sometimes don't allow it. And the chanting has nothing to do with the energy work, so if it's not there, you're not missing out on anything. It just helps you to know, if you have your eyes closed, that we're still broadcasting. And I don't speak when I do this work other than to help you to get comfortable and get relaxed and get in a receptive mode. And, it is your receptivity that, your literally amount of allowance that determines the outcome of your experience, right? Which is truly, from my perspective, potentially unlimited, right? As long as there's no resistance and complete allowance, that is how miracles unfold for us quickly, under grace, perfect and divine and miraculous ways. So I'm going to go ahead and get the technology set up on my end and switch my camera off. And I invite you to take a really, really, really nice deep breath. and slowly blink them open and come on back to the broadcast. I think one of the big gifts in all of this for me, and by all of this for me, is I'm specifically talking about SEM Mondays and specifically doing these group energy healing sessions every week for such a long time, so consistently. And as many as there have been, right, more than 50 at this point, I'd imagine, right, once a week, 52 weeks in a year, doing it more than a year. And there certainly have been some weeks when I have not been able to broadcast. Each one is different, and while they each have very similar potential and possibility, each one is unique, and each one is very special in some ways. And I'm always moved by how different each one is. I was kind of expecting it might get a little bit boring on my end, and that hasn't happened yet, which I'm just like so thrilled by. And I hope that those of us who join in regularly, whether you're watching this live or in replay, the equal potential, right? You don't have to be here live with me to experience the same potentiality. And yet, I've heard from a bunch of people that the live experience, they sense that there is a difference. And these are folks that also take advantage of the replays to help to take their experience to the next level, if you will. Greater heights and greater potential and possibility. So, I'm also always curious when I see comments from people who are within our non-material source energy medicine community, and even practitioners, who show up here pretty regularly and experience, these group sessions. Like, this is stuff that they can do for themselves, by themselves. And yet there's definitely value to gathering in virtual community and to experiencing this in a different way. And I think the big difference between me doing a session with myself versus me experiencing a replay from one of these, or me connecting with one of our practitioners, like each one of those experiences is different. And when I have the wisdom to ask one of our practitioners for help, it's a much, much, much different experience. And I think, especially for practitioners, I think it certainly was true for me, hard to ask for help, hard to ask for support, thinking, I know all of this, I've been doing this for so long, I should be able to figure this out. And I think it's a very limited perspective. And one of the things I think that's cool about our non-material community is we're able to ask each other for help, right? We're able to support each other. We're able to offer support. And it's, a gift that I am just so very, very grateful for. Just see a few comments here I'd just like to read, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up, and God willing, be back here next Monday for our regularly scheduled SEM Mondays. Or actually, we're not going to be here whatever the 4th of July date is, and I think that might be next Monday. So I will just strike that last comment. God willing, I'll be back here on the next Monday that's not following a U.S. holiday. So Marty says it was intense yet gentle, with very cool emoji prayer hands. Thank you, Marty. Awesome to have you here with us live. Donald shares, thank you, Stephen, for another blessing of Source Energy Medicine session. Thank you, Donald, for receiving that. That's totally awesome. Marty says, thank you. You're welcome, my friend. And Trish has some really, really very cool emojis, and shares the Soul Masterclass is beyond great, and that this was a great session. Thank you for sharing that, Trish. I am still completely captivated by that Soul Masterclass. So it's, my gosh, just such a gift, such a blessing, and bless you for receiving that so beautifully, and for sharing your experience with everyone. Because it's how do you talk about stuff like that? Like, a lot of people don't even understand, like, the soul or the nature of a soul, or why do we have a soul? And the masterclass is certainly not that, right? It's not philosophy. It's very practical. It's very hands-on. It's very experiential. So thanks for sharing that, Trish, and I'm thrilled that you are enjoying that. So, Thank you, Joanne. I'm so glad that I saw this before I jumped off. It's always such a truly a joy and a pleasure, and really an honor to have you stop in on and visit with us here on SEM Mondays. Joanne shares grateful for your innocence and joy of extending your gift. Joanne, I always feel like I'm, like a 7-year-old kid with eyes wide open and just trying to figure out this world. And I think I know that source energy medicine came about from looking at the world and saying that's the way it's, it seems like it's supposed to be, but why? And if it's not that, then what else? What other options? What if? And I think there was a whole lot of innocence that was wrapped up in that wide-eyed, childlike curiosity of wonder and being willing to explore the things that other people would say were completely insane. So, truly a joy. And, while I have you here, Joanne, I would love to have you to do an interview with you. Joanne's a very, very, very gifted facilitator and facilitates beautiful healing and just so much wisdom. Let's do an interview, and then we'll upload it onto YouTube. I think our community would absolutely love what you are doing, and it would be awesome to help to share your gifts and your experiences and your talents with our community more in a bigger way. So let's talk about that all offline, and between now and next time we are together for another SEM Mondays, I wish you continued blessings on your journey. Yes, your journey with Source Energy Medicine, but more importantly, your journey in life. Bye for now.